let's get back to SEC Media Days, sir. I feel like we kept tiptoeing around SEC Media recruiting. I was like, let's just jump in. Let's talk our recruiting. So, back to talking about SEC Media Days. Another thing Kirby Smart said, maybe you have more information on this. I don't actually know the rule change, but what is this rule change about the organized defensive line shifts? Do you know anything about that? He was asked a question about it, and he was kind of like, I wouldn't say he was like defensive with the question, but he was kind of like a little like the guy put there's some sort of, what is it called, like sudden movement, like no organized sudden movement or some kind of language like that. And he's like, I need a definition on what sudden is. Like, you put that microphone down. Was that sudden? Like he was.
Did they change that rule? Because I mean, Georgia likes to do that thing a lot, where like the D line will all jump up and then jump back down, or they'll all shift over.
And they do that quick shift.
Yeah, they'll shift over. Like right before the snap, and it's meant to confuse the O line or trigger a false start or something.
Probably changes the matchup or something.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess Kirby, I kind of missed that part too, but he was, I guess, defending doing that because they do it a ton. And did they change that rule? You can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything about an actual rule change.
I'm not either, because I must have missed that part of the.
So it was a question that a reporter asked Kirby, and so that was his response. So I don't know if maybe it's a proposed rule it's being talked about, and so maybe the language will get cleared up or something. I don't know, but yeah, I don't understand the logic of changing that rule. Like, I understand like the clapping and what disconcerting signals I think I've seen called a couple times in a football game. But yeah, actual just a shift to the side, like not moving towards the line of scrimmage. I mean, even if you're moving towards the line of scrimmage, I don't know. You're the defense, so if you can perfectly
time
snap, you can do that. Yeah. So I just hate all these rules in every sport that seem to always put limits on the defense and expand what the offense can do.
I agree.
Also, where do you stand on a 9-game schedule in the SEC?
I think they should do it. I'm sick of these cupcake games in the middle of November. Georgia should not be playing UMass in mid-November. Alabama should not be playing the Citadel. Like, that shouldn't be happening.
I feel like the November is the one that like really makes it bad. Like, I don't like playing the cupcakes at all, but it's like it's that one in November that just, I don't know. It's like the season's supposed to be, I don't know, coming to a crescendo, if that's the right use of that
meme thing. It's like a bye week.
Especially with Georgia's schedule, like there's been those weird years where Georgia will have the non-conference and Georgia Tech, so it's like Georgia's done with conference play like the second week of November or something. Like I don't know. I don't like that. I want to see if you're gonna play them, play them around in the year. But if going to 9, I think, and this is what Kirby said, it's just how is the committee gonna evaluate the SEC schedule? Because at 8, the SEC schedule is already more difficult than any other teams in the country. Like, there might be one specific Big Ten team that has to play all the other good ones that's got Penn State and Ohio State and Oregon and Michigan all on their schedule or something. But there's also the teams that don't have any of them, and that's how they make the playoff. Or Indiana plays one of them, and that's how they get to the playoff, by beating the rest of the bottom of the conference. But I don't know. You look at 8 games, what Florida's schedule is right now. Also, you just think about what the bottom half of the SEC is. Like, just like at least Georgia doesn't have to play Georgia every year, right? Alabama doesn't have to play Alabama. You look at Arkansas's schedule or someone, or Vanderbilt's schedule, and they're playing everyone. So I can't imagine I feel like the contenders, the teams that are, in that 9-3, 10-2 range, now becoming an 8-4 team or something like that, I imagine they wouldn't want to do it. And then also the teams that are desperately trying to make bowl games, those programs also don't seem like they would want it. So I'm not sure how this gets done, but if like we have to go to 9 to preserve Alabama, Tennessee every year, or Georgia, Auburn every year, I feel like you have to.
Yeah, I mean, the SEC can't, like, that's I get, like, expanding to 9 games would make some 10-3, some 10-2 teams drop a 9-3 and whatever. But it's like if you're gonna add Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC and you're gonna expand the playoff to 12 teams, like you should be prepared for the regular season to get harder. And
Yeah.
I just don't really think that that's a valid excuse as being like, it's going to mess up how the committee evaluates the SEC to add a ninth game. The committee doesn't, it's not like the committee has this rock solid, tried and true way of deciding a playoff that everybody agrees with and loves now. No, people complain about the playoff every single year, and they will continue to do it every single year, no matter how many times they expand it. So it's like, I don't know. I think the SEC is already the hardest conference, sure, but I just think that if they're going to continue to expand and want more teams and want more money and want more playoff spots, then it should get tougher. They should add that.
Well, but it's not about the SEC getting tougher. It is, but SMU and Indiana got in the playoff as at-large teams last year. Is there a red-blooded American person who thinks SMU or Indiana was a better team than Alabama or Ole Miss or South Carolina last year? Like even Miami probably. Like I don't know how those decisions got made other than the fact that we're looking at the record and it's like that's what their record is, so that's how good they are. And it's like SMU, with all due respect to SMU, like the ACC wasn't even a good conference, and they played an easy ACC schedule. So it's just, I don't know. I think you have to. I don't really necessarily like the idea of like the locked in Big Ten gets this many every year, SEC gets this many every year. But I almost feel like you have to do that in order to, if we're just ranking records, these SEC records with 9 games, it's like Kirby said, it's 8 more losses in the SEC. Like, I think that's going to jeopardize their ability to get multiple teams in the playoff. And I mean, it's the best conference in college football. So I feel like it's opinion, but it's almost not, it's like, we see what the recruiting is. We see what the funds are. We see what the NFL talent is. Like it is the best conference. You watch the SEC and it just is different. And I mean, there's a reason the Big Ten got 4 in a year ago and the SEC only got 3. And I think you're risking even fewer if you go to 9 games without some kind of agreed how they're going to evaluate strength of schedule and stuff moving forward.
Yeah, but like the committee has also shown, and I know that this was one of its 4 teams, but like they've also shown that they don't really care about, record as much. Like Florida State went 13-0 and won their conference, and they got left out of the 4-team playoff because they thought that an SEC team with more losses than them was better and should have been in there more. So
that's a specific example, though, just because they didn't have their quarterback.
But they've shown that, like, I don't know if you can say, like, the committee is just going to pick the best records every time, especially not if the SEC does expand in 9, there will be a change in the way the committee views the SEC. Like, that will be way more depending on it'll depend on what happens in the SEC every year. But yeah. I would dare to say that, especially if the playoff expands, I don't think SEC teams deserving to be in the playoff and getting left out of the playoff is going to be that big of a problem if they expand is what I think.
I don't know. Also, going back to Florida State, if Jordan Travis is healthy, you think they put in Texas and Alabama over Florida State? I think there's no chance. Like 13-0 Florida State is in the play. They're the number 3 team.
Yeah, but
Jordan Travis is healthy. That was like a very specific example. I think Alabama would have gotten left out that year.
Well, but they didn't.
But no, that's fair. But yeah, that's my biggest worry about going to 9 games. Any other Georgia notes before we talk about kind of the other stuff on SEC Media Days?
It did let me try to think. I mean, it was cool to hear Gunner Stockton talk. I mean, he has a very aw shucks way of talking to where he doesn't really reveal much, and I think that's kind of by design. But like, if there was ever any doubt at this point about Gunner Stockton being the starter, that's kind of gone now. Not that I think that would surprise anybody, but he's, they asked him, how does being the starter affect this? How's your life changed since being a starter? And he answered every question as if he was a starter. And I think that's worth noting. Also, Kirby had a good line. Like, they asked him about how Gunner playing in the SEC championship and the playoff last year has affected the locker room and everything and made him better. And Kirby's like, well, I don't know if it affected the locker room, but it definitely made him better. It made him better because it showed him that, your number can get called anytime. And he talked about just how hard Gunner works. And he's like, people think this is coach speak, but he really prepared every week like he was going to be the starter. And, we don't know anything about Gunner Stockton as a player other than what we saw in that game and a half. So a lot of what we have to go off is these quotes that people say about him in the media, that his coaches say about him. So I think they're worth holding on to.
And everyone has convinced themselves that he's the opposite human being of Carson Beck. So that means he's going to be, he's just going to be a winner, and he's gritty and work hard. And I don't know.
That's definitely all kind of.
And I'm not here to, that's why I wish Beck went pro, because it's easier to defend him when he's on an NFL team. I'm not trying to defend another college team's quarterback, but Beck definitely gets too much hate. But I talked about this a little bit last week. I feel like it's a little noteworthy, at least, that in 2023, Beck was the known starter. He wasn't at SEC Media Days. So he was an upperclassman as well. And maybe it's the personality. Maybe it's, some of the maybe a little more proven talent in 2023. It was Bowers, Cedric Van Pran, and Kamari Lassiter that year. So maybe just a little more proven talent, but also Fromm returning. He was just a sophomore, but Fromm the year after Georgia went to the national championship was clearly the returning starter. And he was not at SEC Media Days. And Jacob Eason in 2017 was also the clear returning starter. But he was also a sophomore. But that was also Roquan, Chubb, and Michelle. So there's no chance you're breaking that 2017. So, there is, I felt like, maybe we're just trying to desperately read between the lines, but I feel like it's something just for Gunner to be here when, it's supposed to be a quarterback competition. So I think that says a lot, and hopefully it says that Georgia is solidified in their quarterback room.
Yeah, it sounds like they like what they have for sure.
But JT Daniels was also in 2021. Kind of crazy to think about how he was kind of established starting the end of that season.
For a time.
And he was such a cool guy. He had the confidence. He had a little bit of swagger.
I like JT Daniels, man. I still do.
For sure. But another unproven quarterback, sir, that I think stole the show at SC Media Days. Maybe this is what Paul Feinbaum was talking about. Arch Manning, dude. It's like, I don't want to just be a hater when it comes to Arch Manning. You know what I mean? I feel like I've been pushed into this corner to where I have to be a hater because I don't really understand the media obsession with Arch Manning. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not Peyton or Eli's kid. Like, for one, I feel like that would make it more compelling. Like, I know he's a 5-star recruit, but I can't recall a 5-star recruit that hadn't played for 2 years and that was going to be their first year starting. That was just this huge sensation. It's just like Tim Tebow didn't sit for 2 years. Maybe that's what Paul Feinbaum, my original thing. Maybe that's what Paul Feinbaum was talking about. The media circus is what's Tim Tebow like, and we haven't seen this since Tebow.
Yeah, the media circus is definitely insane, especially for a kid who hasn't really bought into any of it at all. He didn't do his first NIL deal until he already got named the starter, and for the most part, he's just pretty aloof and kind of, he just doesn't really feed into he doesn't embrace it as much.
His commitment was just a random tweet sent out a Tuesday. It wasn't some big announcement.
Big deal. And I get it because he is a Manning and, he's playing quarterback and everything. But yeah, for a Manning who is A, not the son of Peyton or Eli, and B, not playing at either of their schools, it's pretty crazy. How much the hype has been, but also I think everyone's hype is just kind of amplified in the era of social media. Like it's so much easier nowadays to create like a media hailstorm around a guy than it was back in the days. So like I feel like that's why like you could give the Tim Tebow media frenzy bonus points because it was in 2008 or whatever, and you could just as easily give the Arch Manning media frenzy bonus points because he's only started 2 games in his career, and he's already the most popular player in college football. So it's just interesting either way.
It's like I feel like I would get it more if he was like an influencer also. You know what I mean? That he's like there's some sort of like sensation, some sort of star power, but it's like he's very low key, very normal, like doesn't take the bait on some of these questions. Like he seemed very well coached, just like in terms of speaking to the media. But yeah, just very kind of not crazy interesting answers or anything, like just very low key. So it's like I don't understand like the star like quality that he's like this is the damn Beatles, like showing like the media around him. Like it's just kind of crazy. Like Johnny Manziel, like that made sense to have a media circus for like this guy who not only is a just insane player on the field, but he's like a pop culture icon off the field too. It's like that sort of thing made sense. I don't know. It's just kind of interesting that there's just this big of like a buzz around Arch Manning. Like Georgia's the most unproven they've like ever been. They're like one of the best programs in college football. They've won 2 of the last 4 national championships, and they are like the most boring team here today out of the 4 teams that were here with Texas, Tennessee, and Auburn.
Yeah, I think it's just it probably is just because Georgia just doesn't have like there's not really any household names on the roster entering the season, and that's not me saying Georgia's not good or isn't going to have a good year or anything. Like they have a good team, but compared to the other teams, Georgia just doesn't have like the NIL star power guys that some of these other programs do, which I guess has led to them being seen as more boring in comparison.
Yeah, and I think the storylines, obviously Hugh Freeze got his whole like playing golf and everything that everyone wants to talk about. So I mean, there's just some like I don't know. There's more pressure around him. There's a lot of pressure around Tennessee, and Nico left late in the spring, and that's kind of
that was the whole thing.
Yeah, so it's maybe no news is good news. Georgia, right. I think Georgia likes flying under the radar, so it's not the worst thing ever.
No, not at all. I don't really care. Like, I'm not one of those. I don't think Georgia there's any lack of Georgia representation in media or anything. I'm never gonna be like, why are they talking about Georgia? Because Georgia will be fine, as we know.
For sure. But yeah, good to see College Football Hall of Fame. I don't know if you know, I used to work at the College Football Hall of Fame at one point. So nice seeing the College Football Hall of Fame on TV. Yeah, it's been a while. Couldn't get that credential to get down there though. So we'll see.
Day.
Maybe next year. But any other notes about SC Media Days on your end, sir?
I think that's all the big stuff.